So, to allow oneself to, I call it tightening the feedback loop between allowing ease and taking inspired action, and allowing ease and taking inspired action. The tendency is to pendulum swing all the way over into go, 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 gotta do this, gotta do that. Oh my gosh, I'm all of a sudden, I gotta be on, I gotta control this, I gotta, to a state of anxiety.
And then
pendulum swing all the way over. After you crash and burn, you go all the way over. Yeah, and depression, right?
Right.
The opposite of anxiety, depression. So you've got all the way to one side is the masculine, young, energetic of go, go, go. That creates anxiety and burnout.
Right.
And then once you finally crash and burn, and hopefully, the work I do with people is so that you don't crash and burn. It's like a conscious, moving from one point to the next. But the other side of it is the yin side of stillness, and that at its extreme is depression. And so
wow.
Yeah. And so what I like to help people do is, first of all, if I'm working with someone who is obviously on their way to the crash and burn, I try to immediately get them to start saying no to things, start to really hone in on the things that they want to do, not what they think they should do, not the obligatory actions, and to slow down, to just start taking it easy on themselves. You don't have to try so hard. Be easy. Be easy with yourself. Be easy with your life. Take a deep breath. Meditation is great. If meditation feels like a should or an obligation, don't do it. Right?
Yeah.
Because I know for me that happened at one point.
Yeah.
And it detracted from going into that place of ease, right? So, but then eventually, once you start to recover and once you start to find yourself in this again, you can tighten the feedback loop between these two extremes.
I love that feedback loop analogy.
Yeah. So instead of going from one extreme to the next, you can bring it in toward the center. I actually really don't like the word balance because I don't think it's about balance. That's a personal preference. I think it's about navigation. How do you harness the beautiful feminine energy of receptivity and ease in the yin? And how do you allow that to speak to you, opening yourself up to bigger messages to come through, to your highest self to be heard? And what does that evoke within you for action-wise? What do you want to do from that place? And then moving into that masculine energy of action from a place of inspiration that's healthy. And then when you feel like taking a break, and just the whole thing, it doesn't have to be that hard.
Right.
Life doesn't have to be that hard. Business doesn't have to be that hard. Relationships don't have to be that hard.
Well, if the Moms Wear Capes viewers hear nothing else, I want them to hear that.
Yeah.
But altogether, this has been extremely enlightening for me. You're bringing things up. I think the first time I ever read The Way of the Superior Man was about 7 years ago now, and you're still bringing to light concepts that I've been chasing for a very long time, and I'm really grateful for that. Now, our Moms Wear Capes viewers, these are a lot of women that are in that super busy work state that are not getting into their feminine dance. All of them are interested in starting businesses or flourishing in their businesses at home. Tell us what you can bring specifically to our audience with the work that you do.
Well, everything that we've spoken to so far is exactly what I coach people around and train on and teach on and really facilitate, bringing all of this into their lives. So there's a hand-holding process with that. I have a mastermind program that where I work with a small group of women where we all work together. So one of the I walk my talk. I live what I teach, and what I teach is how to live by your intuition. And I also I have a hashtag. Well, I actually haven't really used the hashtag, but it's kind of a joke within my company. Fuck the formula. So I am not a formula. I don't believe anybody else is either. I do not like fitting people into boxes. I don't like having prescribed way of being in business. I have some parameters around my offerings, but when it comes to, there's a linear way that business has been done around programs and packages
right.
So when you said like kind of counterculture or whatever, that's kind of like, I get really feisty about this, because I'm like,
interesting.
One of my sales pages right now is like, are you skeptical as you're reading this thing? So am I. Like, I get that way too. I get really defensive when it's like, what are you going to try to sell me on, on a sales page? Like, that's the first thing I'm thinking when I read a sales page, and so I like, because I walk my talk, the program that I have, this mastermind program, is co-created with the participants. So it is a 3 to 5 month program, depending on what they want to do. So it's fun. The structure of it is primarily around 3 months. If the participants in a particular group want to go beyond that 3 months because they have such a cohesiveness amongst themselves, I build in leadership training into the 3 months, and then they take over those last 2 months, and each of them takes a turn being the leader of the group, so that they can then learn how to lead groups in their own businesses in the future.
I love that.
If they want just an expedited, like, let's get this stuff done in 3 months, then we do it that way,
So it's like you're just on a ledge, you're just one stair up or one step up, and you're saying, hey, come on, let's get up here together.
I love that, and I would actually pose it as a circle, and I'm standing in the middle of the circle, but we're all on the same platform. And
how feminine circle.
yes, absolutely. It's because I'm not above anybody else. I have a great education, a lot of experience that I can bring to helping people, but I believe that we're all here with our gifts, and my favorite thing to do is, like I said, help create more powerful female leaders in the world, leading from their feminine. My other passion is helping people love their lives, like getting into a life where they're like, I fucking love my life, like that, because I get to say that all the time, and I love helping people say that too. So, from the center of this circle, I am the anchor, I'm the teacher, I am the coach. And there is space within each of our sessions for the women to be learning about each other's businesses and supporting each other. And actually, one of the things I build into this program is a way in which everybody in the program with their businesses promotes each other. So there's a lot of cross promotion. I'm very particular about who gets into what groups. I use my intuition, and I allow, for me, like, groups are the most fun because there is this like other guidance happening when I put them together, and the women that end up being in group together, it is so divine. It's perfect. It's supposed to be that way.
Now I'm gonna hold my heart. I love it.
Yeah. So this 3 month program is 3 to 5 month, but basically, at its core 3 month program. We go over all of these things, and the first month we go into the energetic work that we've been talking about. We get people into to tightening that feedback loop. The second month we get into strategy, like real, what does it take to have a business and make a lot of money? I've been grateful to work with this material so well that I've been having like 8 to 10K months for the past year, and so I share like what I do in my business that is not the structured way of doing it, where so many people preach consistency. I'm about persistence, not consistency. Like sometimes I want to be consistent, and if you feel that that's not a should and that feels like inspired action, great, do it. But really for me, it's about obviously tuning in and allowing your inner guidance system to draw business to you. And so I work with people in their first couple years on these different topics, and I didn't even mention what the third month is about, but the point is that it is good to be in your first couple years if you want to work with me, because we're going to get the roots of the business, grounded in money.
Fantastic.
Rather, it's so after you have enough money coming in to pay your bills, to invest in your business, to pay taxes, to actually take care of yourself financially, only then do you want to then start like growing your business into working with cold traffic, trying to do, cold sales, like through developing out sales funnels and getting your business online once you have the time and the money to attribute to that. But at the fundamental level, that actually, that works against you to try to work with cold traffic and get your business in an online atmosphere. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. And I love that you do a very exclusive small group setting, because in the thousands of books I've read, in the dozens, hundreds of programs that I've seen come across my desk over the years in direct response and in information publishing, nothing has impacted my life more by a long shot than getting into a group environment, because that's where I get to bring up my idiosyncratic, problems and really hone into my own insecurities as I move forward. Because when we're doing something great, when we're starting a business, and you work with a lot of people in starting a business in the first 2 years, a lot of fear can creep in, and it's really hard to address that fear and talk yourself out of it without someone really lovingly looking at you or speaking to you and helping really exercise that fear.
Oh, absolutely.
And replace it with love.
Absolutely. The limiting beliefs, the fear, all of these things really stand in the way of success. And the other thing that happens too, I think, especially, when you're an entrepreneur and you're working from home, or, with whatever you're doing, you start to only see your stuff from your own eyes. And of course, we're the most critical of ourselves. So we forget how far we've come and how much we've achieved. And so having a community that's like, whoa, like, look at how amazing you are, and that's lifting each other up and reminding each other of each other's brilliance. I mean, that's so important and impactful when you're working from home alone, to be able to get together virtually with a group of women that it becomes a sisterhood, it becomes a family, and you build relationships that last forever. Yeah.
Oh, that's like the most important thing in life, I think, that I found in my marriage. I've said this on camera a million times, but like, that's the biggest thing I was missing in my life was sisterhood.
Oof.
And there's nothing like it. I don't believe there's any change agent in the world. There's no catalyst more powerful than women getting together and support each other. And it's so opposed to what we grew up with the mean girls environment, where women are so catty and competing with one another.
Yeah.
And when we
I almost forgot about that exists.
Yeah. And it's like the minute we change and the minute we decide that we're going to band together.
Yeah.
Wow, we're harnessing the power of the stars and the galaxies. It's incredible.
And the feminine of our communal, our desire for our communal desire, right? Like for community, I guess. I don't know how to say that, But that's women are not, it's less competitive and more community oriented.
Yeah.
So that's what, gosh. Sisterhood is so important. I love working with women, because of my mission, but also just because I freaking love women. Like,
we're so much cooler than I realized.
I love men too. Don't get me wrong. But
still working out with dudes.
No, I do. I adore men, and I'm in conversation with actually a business partner right now about how we can bring men into this conversation in a way that makes them not feel like the anti or the other. I think.
Oh.
There's
such a need for that.
There's such a need for that, and I appreciate so much the men who see, their desire to help women thrive as well, and they just don't know how. And that's what I'm so excited to learn more about that. We're interviewing men right now, talking to them about how can we help you help, the feminist movements. How can we make this so that you can be a part of it and feel really great about that, rather than feel threatened by the movements, right?
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
I've read all kinds of, the best-selling feminist literature. And, there's the beauty myth, and it all started with probably A Doll's House, but there's so many great books about feminism, and that have really, I think, been landmarks in our journey as women. And one of them I read was Feminist Fight Club.
Which you recommended to me, and I've started.
And I love it. I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. But the only problem is it's very anti-man. And I think I mentioned that. I said I didn't like it at first, but it's surprising how much of the postures, like the actual physical postures that the author Jessica Bennett brings into the book, stuck with me and impacted me. But on my first read of the book, I hated it. I thought it was too assertive, too aggressive, and too anti-male.
Yeah. Well, and I would love to speak to that for a second, because I think that what you're addressing there is so important and beautiful. And it's just like there's a collective consciousness. Women who have been pushed down for so long, I mean, if we think about the abuse, right, the sexual abuse in our culture, I mean, I don't even know what the percentage of sexually abused women is. I mean, it's so high, right? Yeah. There is this collective anger, I think, of women that has a right to exist, I think, right now, because just like when you're going through the cycle of grief, right, or the 5 stages of grief or whatever, collectively women are going through, this kind of grief cycle or stages. It's like, yeah, we're, pissed that we're not being heard, that, when you're standing in a group of guys and someone introduces himself, he shakes hands with everybody but you, and you're like, hello, I'm a person too, like I'm right here, right? Oh yeah, totally. And it's okay. I think it's okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's great. And this is why it's like permission to be in your emotions with it. Like, it's important to get angry. Anger is an emotion that has more movement to it than depression or silence. And so it actually is an elevating emotion. It's part of how to get into the higher, kind of more not so shadow emotions. I don't want to say positive emotions, but it's a movement from sorrow to joy. And so collectively, I mean, they're, obviously individually and in certain groups of women, the anger doesn't resonate with us. We don't need to be angry. We want to start moving into that place of, okay, let's be productive about this, right? But for other larger groups of women, the anger is still very real and alive. And I think I can embrace that too, Yeah.
So many unbelievable little nibbles and nuggets that I just want to chew on. I'm going to watch this video 15 times before I'm even able to start editing it. Awesome. Thank you so much for what you bring. Yeah. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we move on and go check out your coaching program?
Yeah, I would say, don't be afraid to be a woman. Embrace your feminine, embrace your ease. Lean in, as Sheryl Sandberg would say, to who you are, you know, and don't be afraid to be who you are fully and emotionally and everything in between, because it is as we embrace the core of our being that we get to know ourselves and love ourselves more, and then we're able to bring ourselves into the world more powerfully than ever before. And that's how we attract into our lives everything that we want, from money to relationships to whatever else it is you may want in the world, So don't be afraid of yourself and embracing all that you are.
Ladies, super women, you've heard it right here. Don't be afraid to be a woman. You are enough. Thank you so much for being with us today, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been quite lovely.